Come have a seat. And Rachel, you're totally allowed to yell out how many minutes we have, because I can't see it up here, so. 10, okay, that's good. That's more than I thought. So, Jeffrey, something you said really resonated with me, which is this whole concept we're just getting started, right? So I agree. I think we all feel it. Those of us in this space feel that we're just getting started because there's a lot we know, there's a lot we don't know. So from both of your perspectives, talk to me a little bit about challenges, issues you're dealing with, what concerns you, and also perhaps how you're working through some of your biggest challenges.
Do you want to start? You want to start?
Can you all hear me?
Yeah. So for the type of work that I was just talking about, a really big challenge for us is incentives and who we're having the conversations with, right? Because if I'm come up with this great result, congratulations, I know exactly where you should build your next Mercedes-Benz dealership. You're welcome, you know, and I bring it to a media planner, then there's really nothing they can do with that at all. So the biggest challenge with us, or a big challenge with this, has been to make the incentives align with what we're doing and the people that we're having conversations with, and have the right conversations with the right people who are actually interested in what we have to offer.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think, just a different way of answering it, you know, there are a lot of technical challenges, even within a company like Twitter, of just getting access to the right data. Sometimes that takes a really long time. Understanding what's in the data. So, you know, sometimes these techniques take a long time, and they require a lot of perseverance, and that's a big challenge.
Yes, being in the middle of a giant segmentation like you are currently, I can completely attest to that. It's many, many revs and many actions to get to the outcomes. So obviously none of us are anything without the teams, without the people who are in this doing all of the work. Who are you looking for in your teams? What kind of people are you hiring? What are you looking for as you build out for the next stage of all of our work?
I almost feel like that's more tailored than I even thought that question would be, because I don't know if you know, but we're actually hiring right now. We're hiring a data scientist, and we have different types of people we hire, but one profile is we look for scientists, and we look for people with a solid research background, working with real data and asking real questions. And then we also do have people who are analysts who have experience in advertising, working with clients and that kind of situation. One interesting thing I think that's happened with our team more recently is we used to be very separated, the people who were doing that research and coming up with these sort of brand insights that are sort of very far away from traditional programmatic, and then we'd have a separate group of people whose job was to optimize the campaign and find exactly the right audience and get the delivery right. And now we've sort of shifted those things around so that we actually have those two groups of people sitting on the same team, sitting next to each other, and sharing a lot more, you know, it's all the same data, but then sharing a lot more of the techniques and having a lot more across that barrier so that it's really one process.
So they organized by product, by brand, or how do you put them together in groups?
Well, now they're just all together. I mean, everyone's working together.
Well, it's a small company, so I guess it's a slightly different paradigm. What about you?
Yeah, we're still looking for, we still want to make sure people have the soft skills of being able to tell a story, being focused on the outcome, making things happen. What we're finding is a lot of people who are coming out of university today actually have a lot of these skills. You know, a lot of, I'd say 80% of the resumes we look at, people have Python and SQL and some of these techniques that are becoming part of the college curriculum. So we've taken an approach where we're really trying to find people with that skill set and an ability to provide direct contribution.
Great, thank you. Let's open it up to the audience for a couple of questions. I know it's early, but I'm sure someone has something to ask. Yeah. Should we? There's a mic coming to you. Or you could be like me and just holler.
So what are the risks of misinterpreting data? And what are the risks of, in that misinterpretation, people's interests change. People interests broaden over time because the internet's so vast that it becomes harder to really read them. I mean, human nature is human nature.
Yeah, so one of the things that we recognize at Twitter is that what people do on Twitter isn't a complete reflection of who they are. You know, on Twitter, I may follow gaming and sports and politics, but maybe love books and just don't use Twitter for that. So it's important to understand that one particular data set, one set of behaviors doesn't give you a full reflection of who people are, and that's why using different techniques, I think, is important.
Yeah, and one thing that we've seen is at first we sort of were falling into the trap of thinking of people as being in different boxes, and we'd look at all the people, a set of behavior, and try to categorize those behaviors and say, like, okay, this is the box of moms, we can sell them mom stuff. This is the box of techies, we can sell them techie stuff, which is certainly, you know, it's valuable to sort of find those labels and find those behaviors and put them into categories like that. But then what you find, I mean, we were doing this for a while, and then one day I looked at it and I was like, well, which box do I fit in? There's no, like, where's the mom techie box, you know? And so those, it just, I think, matters how you think about it. Like, it's still valuable to understand that you can find me on mommy blogs and I might be interested in buying baby products, but it's also valuable, it's important to remember that when you see that user, it's not just one box and there's a whole set of behaviors. There's gonna be a different time where I might be more receptive to, you know, buying something or, you know, looking at Stack Overflow and looking at Python or whatever compared to picking the best bottle.
And I will always say, you gotta use the sniff test. Right? That's why many of us are in the roles we are. Like, if you look at stuff and it doesn't make sense, like, it doesn't matter what the data says. You could have set up the question wrong. The model could be the wrong model. There are lots of different things, but common sense is always our best friend, I think. Other questions?
Are there any products or services that you found this approach is less effective than others, say, for example, horse feed or something like that?
Horse feed.
Horse feed.
So that's a crazy example that you gave, because we actually, chicken feed is actually the one that we did. I mean, you can see people, I can't think of a behavior that doesn't show up in either your physical behavior or your online browsing behavior. We actually have an audience running through our system that's backyard chicken farmers that was created to sell chicken feed. So I'm sure there are many examples of it. You know, the more you think about it, but
maybe
I
not
like that
horse
example.
feed. You never know.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, we got to run an experiment on horse feed and figure out what to do with
we
that.
literally have done a lot of work on horses and chicken feed. I'm sure that wasn't really the spirit of your question, but yeah.
The spirit of the question was, are there products and services that this approach is more effective than others?
So,
that's the spirit of the question.
Okay, so the approach becomes different. So there are some products where there's a very clear intent phase, like you're gonna buy a car, you're thinking for a long time about which car to buy, you're doing research. And then there's sort of a separate class of products where you just, you know, like yogurt, for instance, or it's like more about who you are than about what you're thinking about this week. And so the approach for those two types of products is gonna be very different.
I guess what I'm really getting at is there are products that lend themselves to people that are more digitally literate than others, not necessarily because they're not affluent, but it's just that they choose to use digital tools less. So that's really where I'm going at. Is there a huge market out there that's being missed by going through this approach?
So why don't we make room for one more question? I think my short answer to that was virtually, you know, if you look across generations, the non-digital population of this country at this point is very, very small if you include all kinds of digital, including smartphone first. But I think this is definitely something you can pick up during break. One last question. And I've been a terrible moderator. I should have everyone introduce themselves before they ask. Okay. So please, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Fernando. I work for Discovery Communications. And Jeffrey, I know you talked about we're just beginning. So I'm interested in each one of your areas. What part of your business are you more excited about growth in data science?
So I kind of see my job as being the business of asking good questions and answering them, broadly speaking. So I think data science kind of fulfills all of that. The area that I'm learning a lot about is on the learning about Twitter users on the platform and off the platform, and trying to connect those views. So that's what I'm focused on. I think a lot of our targeting from the data science perspective is already kind of built out and operationalized. So more on the insight side is the stuff I'm focused on.
Yeah, I think I could say the same thing. And I think the way I showed it in my presentation also really shows what we're excited about right now, where we have built out a lot of those targeting things, and then right now we're really excited about just going much deeper in that to get those insights, which we hadn't been digging so far into before.
Right. I have 3 things I'm really excited about, right? One, of course, is using all data assets we have together to build better products and services for our customers. So obviously, the algorithms that are behind iHeartRadio and so on, that's a very, very interesting and continues to be a fertile way to apply data science. Driving insights for brands. I mean, I think Jeffrey and others referenced that. I think we're very, very early stages of that. But as a media property, what unique view on your customer's customer can you provide? I think that's a very interesting way to work. But then the last one, honestly, is there's a ton of work we do in our digital specific world, right? The most exciting work we've done at iHeartMedia is to connect the broadcast and the digital. So how do I use the insights from digital and use it to think about my broadcast audience, which, by the way, is still ginormous. I have 271 million monthly users, and they do 95% of my listening. So how do I use the deep insights I get from digital to make myself and my brand partners smarter about what's going on in broadcast? And that's all about machine learning and data science, and that, to us, has been really fun. Right. I think we should probably get off stage and make room for the next set of people. Thank you so much. It's been absolutely fabulous.